Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Keep the Line Moving, the podcast designed to talk about leadership, life, and inspiration. I'm your host, Chris Gargano, and for episode 108, our topic is versatility. But we are also going to have a lot of fun with this conversation. It's the holiday season. Let's let loose a little bit, right? It's with my friend and former boss, Dana Wagner. He was my boss in the early to mid-90s at KOLO-TV, News Channel 8 in Reno, Nevada. We had a great time working together, along with others in the sports department and the newsroom in totality. We all were friends and had a great time working together. In fact, we got together for a reunion a couple of years ago. So many people showed up. The stories were endless. We are also going to talk about leadership throughout this conversation, and we will talk about Dana's versatility, news, sports, weather, how he does that. He has been at KSNV News 3 in Las Vegas, Nevada for over 20 years. He co-hosted Waking Up with the Wagners for 15 years with his wife, Kim. He will take us behind the scenes of what that was like, as well as his relationship with Flavor Flav, Carrot Top, Donny Osmond, and former Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Oral Hershiser. You have to hear these stories and so much more. Oh, and I buried the lead. Speaking of journalism, 2024 was Dana's 40th year in television news. The conversation begins now with Dana Wagner. All right, look who it is. This guy is not only my friend. This is a gentleman I worked with. He was my boss. And Dana, you were damn good at it. I'm swearing on my own podcast, but you were damn good at it.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because I don't think that I was. I don't think I should have been a boss of anybody. I wasn't. I don't think I was mature enough to handle it, and I certainly didn't have any training to handle it. So I appreciate you saying that. But the one thing that I learned through that process, and I've learned since our days together in Reno, is the key to being a good boss, I think, is listening more to your employees. They'll tell you what. That doesn't mean you have to follow everything that they say, but I think listening to people can help you deal with them better and help them succeed and do well. And if they succeed and do well, then that means management succeeds and does well. So that's kind of the key that I think I've learned over the last 20 years since you and I worked together.
Well, listen, that's, I appreciate the transparency and you being open about this, but I'll tell you what, you were good. And I know none of us had training back in those days, but here's the thing, which means the most to me as an individual: you cared. You
Yeah.
cared about how we were doing. You cared about me as a person. You showed that. You cared about other people. So let's just start there, man. You were a wonderful foundation in the relatively early part of my career, my friend.
Well, you're very kind to say that. I blush a bit. I don't remember myself that way necessarily, but the things that you say do ring true to me. I do care about people, and I did care about you, and I did want you to succeed, and I did want you to get better. And so I do think that we had some healthy conversations about the direction the sports department should go. But I'm very competitive, and I wanted to beat the other guys in town. And at that time, it was only three stations, right? I think it
That's
was only
right.
three stations, but I wanted to beat them. I wanted to be first. I wanted to be accurate, and I wanted to be interesting. And I felt like it was a team effort with you and I trying to pull in the same direction. So I thank you very much. I appreciate it. And you were great to work with too. You were easy and you were a lot of fun. The thing that you brought to the workplace was a lot of energy and a lot of positive energy. And I appreciated those things from you, because when you go to work and it's drudgery, I don't think you perform as well. I don't think you excel. But when we went to work, we had a good time. There was a lot of laughter. So we enjoyed actually going through those doors. And when you enjoy the environment, I think you're more productive. And I think that managers need to hear this, because you want to make sure that your employees are having a good time. And that doesn't mean that you're joking around the entire time. It means that you find areas of levity. And when you can enjoy yourself at work and enjoy camaraderie and enjoy your coworkers, I think productivity goes up.
Do you think that attitude that you have, like enjoying work and making people comfortable and being a great teammate, has been one of the main reasons you've had so much sustained success? Do you think that is one of the reasons for your looking back and the sustainability at your career?
There's no doubt. And I think that you and I got into the business for the same reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we got into it because we thought it would be interesting work to do. We never got into it to get rich. We never got into it to be famous. I think a lot of people look, oh, you're on TV, you must like being recognized. We never got into it for that. We got into it because we were curious people. We thought it would be interesting to be able to discover things and present them to the public, to let them know what we had discovered. Sure, the presentation part of it is fun for sure. It's fun. It's exciting. The red light goes on, and you have these bright lights and the camera's pointed in your face, and you get to talk to people. That's part of it for sure. But we got into it because we found the work interesting. So yeah, that's a big part of it is I still find the work interesting and I still enjoy working with but I work with people in their 20s now and I'm 62. I mean, I still get a gas out of working with young people who find energy in the business that I found energy in for 40 years now.
Your versatility. So you were in sports, you've done news, weather. I cannot believe. I mean, you even went back to school to get an advanced degree in meteorology.
Yep.
Explain to me which part of it, or is it all of it, Dane? And that explains why you're good in all the categories. It's like being a 5-tool baseball player.
Well, that's interesting. I consider myself to be, jack of all trades, master of none. Seriously. I mean, I think I'm decent. I have a modicum of ability in each one of those areas, but I think my bigger skill is having a modicum of ability in a lot of different areas, and it has served me so well in this day and age of broadcast. For instance, they needed somebody to do weekend weather. So Saturday and Sunday nights, I was the evening meteorologist. Monday, I got a call. They say, don't come into work. Go directly to this breaking news. We had a shooting. I went directly to that, and I was a live reporter on that all day. And then today, I'm going to anchor the 3 and 7 p.m. newscasts. And on occasion, after being the sports director in Reno for 7 years, they will have me fill in doing sports. So being able to do all of those things, have an interest. I have a history minor from college. I have an interest in politics. That also served me well when I was co-anchoring the morning news with my wife for 15 years. Because in the morning, they don't have a dedicated sports guy. And sometimes the weather guy calls in sick. And sometimes they need to do traffic. And sometimes they need to anchor, do traffic and weather on the same broadcast. So all of my experience through all of my 40 years kind of led me to one place. And that was here on the morning show for 15 years in Las Vegas, where I got to flex my muscle in all of those different areas. Again, not an expert really in any one of them, but enough general knowledge to be successful at all of them.
How do you mentally prepare for those transitions to doing the different parts of a broadcast?
Well, so when you're in college, right, they don't really talk about the performance aspect as much. I mean, we did have some of that at Washington State University. We did have a daily broadcast, so you get some of that. But, just getting comfortable in camera is step one. And the way you get better at broadcasting is to broadcast. You've heard that in sports, right? The way to get better at football is to play football. Same thing in broadcasting. And after a while, it becomes natural. I think people might be really, it becomes like shaving. It becomes like taking a shower as part of your daily routine. So the nerves are not there anymore, which is nice. I mean, sometimes when you're taken out of your comfort zone, you still feel those butterflies. That's pretty cool. But I don't get those butterflies much anymore. So experience, I've just been doing it so long that I'm just comfortable with it. So the other day I had to do, sounds a little embarrassing in Market 40, which Las Vegas is, but this is the way the broadcast news business is. I was anchoring the broadcast and doing the weather on a Saturday and Sunday morning recently. So I was transitioning quite literally from reading a news story, and then they'd run the graphic saying time for weather, and I'd get up from the desk, go over to the green screen and do the weather, and then get back done with that and go back over to the news desk and start reading news stories. So you just, through experience, you get comfortable going from one to the next to the next. And variety is the spice of life. I enjoy doing them all, to be honest. I know as a sports guy in Reno, I don't miss being a full-time sports guy, which is weird because I love sports. I still love sports. I don't miss having to cover those things. So I get to enjoy sports on my own time now, but variety is the spice of life, and I enjoy doing all the jobs.
So you mentioned waking up with the Wagners. You and Kim, your wife, did that for 15 years in Vegas. How much fun was that?
I tell people there's no man in America, in world history, I don't think, that spent more time with his wife and daughter than myself. And what a privilege, right? For 15 years, I mean, we shared a bed, we shared a bathroom in the morning, we shared a car ride to work. Then we shared an office. Then we shared a news set for 3 hours in the morning. And then we shared an office and a car ride back home. So, I mean, husband and wife were together a lot, and it worked great most of the time, as you can imagine. And my daughter, you know, we were kind of on her schedule. We missed an hour with her in the morning, but I got to pick her up every day from school. We did homework together. We had dinners together. We had weekends together. So, what a privilege for somebody like me to work with my wife, to share an experience like that. And I admired her for professionalism because she is a true pro at what she does. And so we shared that too. So we had a common bond in that, but we were also raising a child. We had a marriage together. I mean, it was a lot, but it was great. And I consider myself to be privileged for it.
And that's really commendable, the way you articulated that, and that family time, and with your daughter Kate, right? And having all that time and being on her schedule. And then the other side of that, Dana, is the station, and the station committed to you both, right? And they
Right.
believed in it. That's really admirable, right? I mean, you don't see that
Yeah.
nowadays, and I think it's wonderful. And talk about, you know, the NBC affiliate in Vegas, KSNV News
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, and the place to work. It must be really nice to be appreciated.
Yeah, you know, it was an interesting transition because at the time I was the evening meteorologist here in 2004, 5, 6, and 7. So I did that for 4 years. And then they came to us one day, and I thought they were going to promote my wife to the evening show with me. And we had just had Kate, so she was about 2 years old at the time. And they said, we have this great idea for a show. It's called Wake Up with the Wagners. And we were thinking, oh my goodness, we got to get up at 2, 3 in the morning, come in, trudge to work, and do this. And it turned out to be the greatest thing ever. Not only because my wife and I got to work together, rarely do on-air people at a TV news station get to work the same shift or together, but we worked on the same show together. And it also afforded us the opportunity to raise our daughter. Can you imagine if my wife and I both worked the evening shift, where we came into work at 2:30 in the afternoon and worked till midnight? We would have never seen our daughter. So I do appreciate the people here at Channel 3. That wasn't their consideration. They just wanted a good television and a good show, and they thought Kim and I together would work, and I think it did. I think it worked well, and because of that, Chris, I've been ingrained in this community, unlike I was in Reno. You know, I knew a bunch of people there, but I wasn't really bumping elbows with them. But because of Wake Up with the Wagners and because of the people we've met through our jobs, we really ingrained ourselves in this Las Vegas community. And I'm fortunate for that too. I mean, the things that I've, you know, been able to do because of this job and because of that show, it's been amazing. And to see the growth in this community, I know you want to talk about sports. Where I started in 2001 at the station and where Las Vegas is now, insane.
So let's hit that, Dana. My goodness, the city, Summerlin, the surrounding suburbs have just grown. It has evolved into a major player in professional sports with the Golden Knights, the Raiders, and then here come the A's. How do you attribute that? What took place to cause that fortune? Was it a series of events, Dana, do you think?
First of all, it was something I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. That was my one lament with my career. I mean, I never made it to the big time. Las Vegas is as big as I ever made it. I mean, you worked in Portland and St. Louis, so you worked in some big markets. You worked in some top 20 markets. I never have. So, and that was one lament. I said, I really enjoy Reno. I was there for 10 years. It was great. I had a great time. I've really enjoyed Las Vegas, but the one thing I missed was professional sports. I never thought that I would ever work in a city that had them. And now we're about to have three major professional sports teams. We hosted the Super Bowl, and we're going to host the men's Final Four someday. And now we have that Formula One race in Las Vegas. So we were the entertainment capital of the world. At least that's what we called ourselves, and we believe it. Now we call ourselves the sports and entertainment capital of the world. We're going to be in that rotation 5 to 7 years of getting the Super Bowl. We got rave reviews for it. Formula One's going to be here for 10 years. And while it's big in the United States, it's huge around the world. We're going to be home to Final Fours now. And here's what happened. The reason that Las Vegas was ostracized, and really the main thing was sports betting. There's not one league that wanted to embrace sports betting. They were concerned about the image of that. The other thing is we're a small market. We still are a small market. I mean, you think of other major league markets in America, the smallest Green Bay, but they do very well in the NFL. Nashville, Tennessee, I think we're comparable to them, but those are small markets. But the reason that it's worked here is, one, now you can sports bet in more than 30 states in the United States. So the sports betting issue is not an issue. In fact, they found that it's helped. What led to the explosion in the National Football League? I would argue was fantasy football. People had skin in the game. They had players. They had money on the line. Now they wanted to watch the games and see how they're. And now the NFL understands that. Where they wouldn't touch us with a 10-foot pole, they now understand that gambling in Las Vegas, legalized gambling, can actually help root out some of the nefarious things that may happen in sports, because the sports, the casinos here they want a clean game. So now they're partners with the National Football League. I never thought that would happen. And the other part of it is, yes, we're a small market, but we get 40 million visitors a year. That's almost 1 million a week, right? So we have people coming to our town who want to see the Raiders, who want to see the A's, who come see the Golden Knights play as well. So we sell out the Golden Knights. We're near the top of the attendance in the National Hockey League, if not number one. We sell out every Raiders game, and we'll see how the A's are going to do. 81 games a little more difficult, but it's amazing to see this community grow like it has.
People think, sports betting, and it gains interest, right? They want to see their fantasy teams or their specific teams win, lose, but you have a kind of like an accountant approach to it, right? You're very methodical about it. How much is that? How much enjoyment do you get from that?
So the thing I enjoy the most is winning.
Of course.
So there are a lot of people that just want to have action in the game, but you're right. I do take an accountant approach, because I keep track. NFL Sundays are one of my favorite activities of the year. I get 20 to 23 of those, including the playoffs. I have 4 televisions in one room. And my wife calls it my sports book. And I try to watch pieces of every NFL football game on Sunday. So if there's, I think there's 256 regular season NFL games. I will probably have watched 235 of those by the end of the season. That's how into it I am. And if I didn't have action on it, if I didn't have money on it, I wouldn't be watching that much.
Okay, so that's a follow-up that I want to ask you, because as you know, I spent 6 years at the Oakland Raiders, the then Oakland Raiders. So I still have friends there, and I still talk to those people. How have they hit the market? I am, from an outsider's point of view, because I don't live there, they've done a nice job assimilating into the fabric of the greater Vegas area. What is your point of view on the Raiders and Vegas?
So the Raiders move to Las Vegas was interesting in that we already had some Raiders fans here. Raiders Nation is big. You know that.
Yes.
Right? And the Raiders played in Los Angeles for a long time, and that's a 4-hour drive from Las Vegas. So Las Vegas, really, a lot of people that grew up in this town, they had affinity for teams that played in Los Angeles because of proximity. Right? So we already had some Raiders fans here. I grew up in LA. I grew up a Rams fan back in the 1970s. That's how old I am. But when the Rams moved to St. Louis, and I think you covered the Rams when they were in St. Louis, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah, I thought. Once they moved to St. Louis, I parted ways with my Rams. So I was a man on an island. I was looking for a team. So when the Raiders came here, it was easy for me to embrace them. But I'm not the only one. There are a lot of Raiders fans here, and I've definitely become one of them. I mean, I live and die by the Raiders. So it's hard to watch them lose on Sundays, and we have season tickets. So we go to the games every Sunday pretty much.
Oh, that's so fun. Good for you. That's awesome. All right. So Dana, you mentioned earlier that you and Kim did the show for 15 years in the morning. And through that experience, you met a lot of interesting people. Yeah. And that's awesome. And so tell me about that. Who have you, because this show, obviously, the thing I say at the start of every show, it's about leadership, life, and inspiration. So we're covering all of it with you, my friend. And that's a true statement. So who have you met over the course of your career in Vegas? We'll stay specific to Vegas because it's high glamour there. Who have you met that has made a positive impact on you, that you said, I'm in this person's presence and this person really does whatever it is that they do at a very high level, and I can feel that?
I mean, it's going to sound like name dropping, but
I asked the question. You're getting away with it.
And when you're on morning television for 15 years, and especially when it's called Wake Up with the Wagners and it has your name on it, and it's husband and wife, which is unusual. So you get extra attention from all of those things. Now, there's a lot of people out there, and we were on from 4 to 7. Okay. So there's a lot of people that don't get up before 7, and there's a lot of people in Las Vegas who have never seen you. So the odd one is where you'll come up and one person will recognize you and the other won't. They have no idea. And the one guy is excited. Hey, these are the Wagners. You know who these guys are? And his buddy's like, no, I have no idea. Well, these are the Wagners. They're in the morning. And his buddy's like, I don't care. But from time to time, you'll have people like Flavor Flav.
I had no idea who you were going to mention. Go ahead.
We met him at a party. And that's a long story, but we met him at the party, and he goes, "Wake up with the Wagners! I can't believe Kim and Dana Wagners! Wake up with it!" That's my Flav imitation. I don't think it's very good. Flavor Flav knew who we were, and it was simply for the TV show, and we sat there and talked to him for an hour. So, we bump into him every now and then. Carrot Top. Everybody knows Carrot Top. We had a story about him the other day in our 5 o'clock news, and I was sitting over in the newsroom, and he goes, "Did you call him an icon?" I said, "I don't know." So I dial him up. I get him on Zoom. He goes, "Hey." I go, "Hey, Scott." It's Scott Thompson's now. He goes, "Dana Wagner." He goes, "Hey, what's going on?" I go, "We got a story about you in the news. Are you an icon?" And my 5 p.m. producer can't believe this is happening. Ryan Balaj is his name. He's like, "You just called up Carrot Top?" I go, "Yeah." But these are the people. I mean, so you find out these people are just regular people. Some are nice, some are not. Some are smart, some are not. Some are fun, some are not. And you just find out that they live in Las Vegas like you do. And you bump into them. And you hang out with them. Donnie Osmond was on the show. He goes, "Hey, come to my show on the Strip." And I wasn't expecting much, but I'm old enough to remember when he had the Donnie and Marie show. And he goes, "Come to my show. I'll get you the worst seats in the house." That's Donnie Osmond. So we go to the show. He meets with us after the show. Chris Angel had us in his dressing room after the show. During the show, he came up and he was like shaking hands with us during the show. I mean, it's just weird stuff like that. And it's all because you're on TV and you live in the same city, these people. So you just great. And so it's nice to be embraced by the community. It's nice that these people are just nice to you and regular people. And so those are just a few examples of the people we bump into.
So obviously you and I are friends on social media and all. And I saw a picture before we get to the All-Star moments, Dan, of you and Oral Hershiser.
Oh,
the Bulldog.
Yeah, I know. So we become friends over the years. So you have to understand, I remember exactly where I was on October 15th, 1988. I was at a friend's house in Prosser, Washington, and that was Gibby's dinger in Game 1 of the World Series against the Oakland A's. Well, Oral Hershiser was on that team. It didn't pitch in Game 1. Why didn't he pitch in Game 1 of the World Series? He had arguably one of the best seasons ever for a pitcher in 1988, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he set the scoreless through, 58 straight innings, scoreless innings. We didn't pitch in Game 1 because he pitched Game 7 against the New York Mets in the National League Championship Series. And so he couldn't go on short rest. So he pitched Game 2. And of course, the Oakland Athletics had to deal with him for 2 games. I think he pitched Game 2 and Game 5. But I met him in a local sports book. You know, he lives in town. And his wife's name is Dana. And Dana, and I went up and introduced myself to him in the sports book. And his wife goes, "You know who this is? One of those." He goes, "No." She goes, "That's my morning news guy." So his wife is the one who really I got the in with. And then Dana Hershiser saw my wife at the nail salon. They were sitting next to each other and they planned dinner. And my wife comes home and goes, "You want to have dinner with Oral Hershiser?" Yeah. Lifelong Dodgers fan. We had season tickets in the 1970s when tickets were affordable. And so we hang out with Oral, not very much during the season because he's in LA calling the games, but we see him in the off season. So yeah, it's weird to hang out with someone that you idolized as a kid.
What a great story. This has been just tremendous. Dana, we got to get to All-Star moments and then we'll let you go be on the news. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
How do you deal with adversity?
Perseverance. Everyone's getting knocked down. Who's getting up?
What gives you fuel?
I mean, I want to do well. I want to do well for my wife. I want to do well for my daughter. I want to do well for my coworkers. I want to do well for my bosses. So I want people to be proud of me, you know? So I guess that's what it is. I want to do the right thing by people, and I want to be well thought of. So that's always part of my fuel.
3, what does never give up mean to you?
I don't quit. And I don't even care what the score is. We can be down by 20 with a minute left. I'm playing my hardest. So I just try to do my best every day.
4, the value of collaboration. How do you feel about it?
And in the TV newsroom, I work with 50 people. You think I can get this done by myself? No way. And that's just at work. How about in the home life too? I mean, you think you can get it done by yourself? I mean, I admire single parents. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't. I got my wife, thank goodness, and I collaborate with my daughter too. We talk about best practices in our house all the time. So you can't get anything done without collaboration. Even tennis players, I know that's a singular sport. They don't get it done without their coaches and trainers and the rest. It's all about collaboration. That's the key to everything.
Last one. You've hired a lot of people over the course of your career. Tell me about what you look for in an ideal person.
I'm looking for a spark. I'm looking for the fire in the belly. I mean, interpersonal skills are at the start of it, right? So you're just looking people in the eye and you're answering their questions and you're doing it in a thoughtful, interesting way. But I'm looking, if I'm making widgets, I'm looking for somebody that likes to make widgets. And if I'm looking at TV news, I'm looking for somebody who likes television news, who's a curious person, who wants to learn. Somebody you hire is not going to be the person that starts, is not going to be the person that ends. So I'm looking for people that are interested in learning, right? I can teach anybody, but if you have the right attitude, I can teach that person how to do this job. But you got to have the right attitude. So come in with that spark, a smile on your face. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and go to work for you every day. That's what I'm looking for, is somebody who comes in with the right attitude and says, I can't wait to get to work for you. And I can't wait to show you what I can do in this job. And I can't wait to learn how to do it better.
Dana, this has been tremendous. I can't thank you enough. This visit it has made my week, my month. I really enjoyed it.
I'm even honored that you would ask me to do this. Thank you.
And we thank Dana very much for being on the show. I have 3 takeaways from this conversation. Number 1, the power of levity, laughing, enjoying yourself at work. It is so important. You do better work. Think about it. When you're laughing, enjoying the person next to you, camaraderie, inside jokes, waving across the building, whatever the case may be, acknowledging someone's great work, celebrating victories. How much more rewarding is your job? Number 2, the art of listening. You heard Dana. He was very hard on himself, right, as a leader early on in his career. But then he learned how to listen, and what a gift that is for the people that he was leading. And number 3, being versatile, adapting. Dana understands. He could do weather. He could do sports. He just has to remain calm, confident, and knowledgeable in each subject. He went back to school, as he talked about, and got an additional degree in meteorology. What a conversation with Dana. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. Everyone, happy holidays to you. We will see you soon on Keep the Line Moving. Take care. Every week, you hear guests on this podcast talk about some of their biggest leadership challenges. As a leader, you want to make an impact on those you lead and reach your organization's goals, while also optimizing your time management. Wherever you are in your leadership journey, we could all use some help. This is what we focus on with our group and individual coaching services. To book a call or get more information, email me directly at chrisg@garganoleadership.com or visit our website at garganoleadership.com. For our podcast and video producer, Jack Radutsky, and our marketing coordinator, Savin Narwal, have a great week, everybody.